Boom! We're here and ready to go. It's Thursday. It's our last streaming night of the week, and I am your host, Stuart Davis, Flawed Man of God, and welcome to our small group. Welcome to our channel where we talk about faith, and we're currently in a project where we're reading through the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, a couple of chapters a night. Just doing it right in order. And we're talking about it. We're reacting to it. Some of us have read it before. Some of us have read it multiple times. Some of us have never read scripture before at all. But we are talking about it together, and you are welcome to join along with us and give us your opinion as well. This is a very layperson stream. I want to be very upfront. I am not a scholar. I haven't been to seminary. I'm not a preacher of any type. Right, just a guy who can give you experience from my years being a Christian. I've been one all my life, and just offering my perspective. Some of you may be smarter or more educated in faith and are more educated in Christianity than me. Others might not know much of anything, but again, I want to hear from you. Educate me or ask questions. And there's not any promise that that if you have a question we can answer, we're going to answer it, but we can at least talk about it. But I would love you to join our group. We have a bunch of great folks who are in the chat, tuning in night in and night out. And we want to hear your 2 cents worth as well as theirs. And without any further ado, let's get into the show. We have a new pope, or at least the Catholics do. The the Protestants and Orthodoxy will, of course, not really fall under his authority, but we are all just kind of looking at it and reacting to it. I've seen people speak positively. I've seen people speak negatively. It's not my denomination, right? I am not a Catholic, but I do talk to some. And just from what I've been presented with very early on, he just seems like another Pope Francis. Doesn't seem to be much different than him in any way, shape, or form, except for he's not I think Francis was a Franciscan. This guy's an Augustinian, not a Jesuit. Maybe Francis was a Jesuit. I can't remember. He was not Augustinian. And instead of being South American, he is an American. He is from Chicago. He went to Villanova. Odd for a priest. That's a very rich kid's school. But yeah, we'll see how he does. A lot of the more conservative-minded Catholics are not happy with the pick because, well, if he seems to me like Pope Francis and or another iteration of him, most Christian Catholics weren't very happy with him to begin with. But we're just going to have to see how he does. And our hope is that whether you are Catholic or not, if you are a Christian, your hope is that the Pope is going to lead Catholicism in a godly way, in a way that is obedient to what God has instructed us, or how God has instructed us to be, and somebody who is going to bring honor to that seat, grow Christianity in a righteous and wholesome way. Will he do that? Remains to be seen. But we want to see that improve. We want to see Christianity grow throughout the world and save as many souls as possible. Hopefully, the shift will focus on trying to convert us dirty Protestants and they can focus on reaching the folks who don't know Jesus at all. But anyway, that's my that's my opinion on this. It's very early on. They did pick Pope Francis, Pope Leo, I guess is the new name. Oh, they did pick Pope Leo in less days than it took the Browns to pick Shedeur Sanders. Which one will end up being the better pick? We'll have to find out. Here's my problem with the Chicago priest becoming pope. I'm not worried about there being pineapple on pizza being okay. But pizza casserole being identified as deep dish pizza is something that greatly concerns me. And to be honest, if he tries to shill that Chicago nastiness that they call pizza, I'm going to label him an anti-pope. And there's just no getting around it. That's where I draw the line in the sand. That's a bridge too far for me. And enough is enough. But again, it's happened. We'll see how he leads. We'll see what he has to say. But it seems just, going off of what he said in the past, it seems very Francis 2.0. Meet the new boss. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss, and the status quo remains. Perhaps. Thad the man is here. What's going on, Thad? The Pope, for better or worse. American because the church gets most of its money from America. It's for the shekels. Maybe. He comes with some scandal to him. There's apparently there was a handling of sexual impropriety under his watch that it doesn't seem like he handled very well. I'm sure that's all going to come out. There is what else? Just from what I've seen, he seems to couch his opinions in a way that makes what he says you can take it either way you want to, which is very much a Pope Francis thing. And James Martin, who is a priest, a weird Catholic priest, is a big supporter of his, apparently. And so that's not a good sign. Thad says, as a Chicagoan, deep dish is not really Chicago style. Chicago style is tavern pizza. It is not pizza. It is pizza casserole. And if you ask me, and I will die on this hill, Detroit style pizza is the only acceptable deep dish pizza, period. I'll do it this way. New York style pizza, deep dish pizza, or Detroit style pizza, Pizza Hut, buffet pizza, Gold Coast pizza, and that's where it ends. And under the Earth's crust, down towards the core, well below the line of what is pizza and what is not pizza, you will find Hawaiian pizza and Hawaiian pizza and Chicago pizza. What's going on, Emmanuel? Glad to see you. And that's what we have. Stuffed crust. It'll go somewhere around the Pizza Hut buffet because look, stuffed crust pizza started with Pizza Hut. So it'll go in the Pizza Hut buffet area. Whether if you prefer it, it goes above it. If you don't prefer it, it'll go just below it. That's an adjustable area. Tavern style is not deep dish. It's a bit like New York, but it's cut square with a crust that isn't as floppy as New York. What is what? Hold on. Hold on. All right, let's do this. Tavern style pizza. It's Thursday. We're allowed to get a little sideways. It's pizza cut into square pieces. That is pizza. That is not Chicago deep dish casserole. That's not the like I said. It's not to say that a thick pizza can't be pizza. Detroit style has got plenty of thickness to it. As someone who went to Chicago and ate, the only thing that was good in Chicago were the hot dogs. Chicago style dogs are good. Deep dish pizza is terrible. And of course, Serrano's would come in with this absolutely terrible take. I am not surprised at all that you were okay with this type of pizza, this type of food. Didn't even have deep dish until I was 24. Plenty of tavern pizzas. I was old. I was younger than you when I had it. Good. Then you should enjoy what really is pizza, and that's Detroit style pizza. Detroit deep dish. Square pizza with the crispy crust from the pan. I actually like pizza from out on the West Coast, the Gold Coast pizza. Gold Coast style pizza. Hold on. It's very flat and crispy. Hold on. Apparently, it's not actually a. Apparently, it's not actually a style. I'm told it's a style. Oh. No, my favorite Detroit pizza place is Green Lantern. Yeah, most of the pizza places have cracker crust. Yeah, like or cracker style crust, very thin and very crispy. There was a place that there was a couple who opened the pizza place and it didn't last long, which was a real shame. Uh, not far from us in a town called Ashland, Virginia, and it was very close to where me and my wife were working at the time. And so on our way home, because there was nothing to eat there except for disgusting Domino's pizza, we would stop that we stopped there a couple of times. Really good pizza, and they closed, which was sad. They were trying to open during the recession in 2008, 2009. Oh, what a day. What a day to be talking about pizza on this stream, talking about one of my favorite meals in the world. I love pizza. I'm very particular about it. I miss good Detroit style pizza. All we get is Little Caesars. Wonder if there is. Domino's is disgusting. Domino's is garbage. Papa John's for the first time. Papa John's, I don't know. I love Papa John's when I was a kid, like in the 90s, in the late 90s, when it first started getting big, at least around here. I don't know if I think they changed something. I know the guy who John whatever said they changed stuff and it's not the same. It doesn't taste the same. Or my taste buds changed. Let's see. They got Detroit style pizza, Richmond, Virginia. Ooh. Really? Secret Squares pizza. That's disgusting. Ugh. Ugh. No. They've made it like foodie pizza. All right, hang on a second. This is awful. Y'all see this? Who wants this? I don't know why it's a secret. Nobody wants to know about it. Zorch pizza? Used to crush Tuscan 6 cheese with bacon. See, I don't like a whole bunch of different types of pizzas. What's going on, Matt, by the way? Good to see you. Zorch pizza. What is this? New York style pizza. I clearly said Detroit style pizza. Top 10 Detroit style pizza places in Richmond. Let's see what Yelp has to say. Come on. Secret Squares looks like crap. Zombie pizza, that's not Detroit style. Is all this nonsense? Bottoms up is good, but that's not Detroit style. I'm a sad. I'm gonna end up probably slumming it and getting some Little Caesars at some point. All right. Boom. There we go. All right. Now that I'm thoroughly obsessed with pizza now, and now I'm thinking about it, let me try to focus on something that's even better than that. There's a franchise called Hungry Howie's that has flavored crust. Crust should have flavor. What do you mean flavored crust? I'll tell you what, and it's probably because y'all know the joke that about the American military. They can we not only will we bring war with us, but we'll also bring our fast food with us at the same time. Like even going back to World War II, we had ice cream for our troops, right? When we were at when I was at Al Assad from 2005 to 2007, we had a Subway, which was disgusting because who knows where they were sourcing the lettuce and tomatoes. The cheese was awful. And that's not even getting into the meats. The Subway was terrible. There was a green bean cafe. It wasn't bad. It was like a really, uh, it was like a discount Starbucks, but with actually good coffee, apparently. I don't drink coffee. Anyway, um, there were those. And then right smack dab in the middle of the base, there was a Burger King and there was a Pizza Hut. And that Pizza Hut, and maybe it was because I was away from all other sorts of fast food, but that Pizza Hut was better than any Pizza Hut I've been since Book It was a thing, and I was spending my childhood getting the little Land Before Time hand puppets and enjoying my personal pan pizza with some of the best garlic bread ever made. But as a 23 and 24-year-old, it was really good. And their stuffed crust was good. You get wings from them. Oh, man. This is good. Basil, garlic. Oh, yeah. That's good stuff. Flavored crust choice, almost like choosing the bun at Subway. Do they have Italian herb and cheese? That's what I usually go with. When you say no pineapple pizza is better than Little Caesars, are you saying no, comma, pineapple pizza is better than Little Caesars, or there is no pineapple pizza that is better than Little Caesars? The way you answer this will affect how much I respect for you, how much respect I have for you. Swallow your sadness and pretzel crust pizza. Haven't tried it actually. Like soft pretzel crust or hard crust pretzel crust? Probably soft pretzel crust. That would be like, I would think something like that you would get in Philadelphia. All right. Well, while y'all are typing away about pizza and making me hungrier, let's talk about last couple of chapters in the build up. Isaiah has been relatively dour as we've read through there. Little glimpses like where we've seen where the Messiah is going to show up. Always a great thing. But we also are running into mostly get out that. Get out. Out. How dare you? But I was talking to a buddy who was not happy with the choice of Pope. And I told him, hey, read Isaiah 24 through 27. We literally just finished reading through that part. And what I really enjoyed about it was 24 starts with look, punishment's coming. Punishment's coming for everybody. Punishment's coming for everybody. But what we see in 25, 26, and 27 is hope. That there is a time after punishment. There's time after these terrible things happen. And there is a time of blessing. God does fulfill his promises. He keeps his promises. And justice is going to be served. Look, Thad, beggars can't be choosers. Okay? And the crazy bread used to be better when I was a kid. It's not good anymore. It's bad now. But Little Caesars square pizza is good. Their round pizza, their circle pizza is terrible. It is garbage tier. or I should say dominoes here. Anyway, there is hope. There's hope on the back end of this stuff, the back end of this madness that's going to happen, these tragedies, and maybe we're going to get caught up in it. But trust in the Lord. Trust in the Lord, who has not let you down. He doesn't always answer. He doesn't do everything you want him to do. You don't know better than him. You don't know what the ultimate plan entails. What you do know is what he's promised you. So if you have faith that he will keep his promise to you, it doesn't necessarily mean what you're going to go through is going to make you're going to be happy with what you have to go through. Maybe what you're dealing with is tragic and awful. But by trusting in the Lord, having faith, it will at least make it bearable. You will have something to look forward to on the back end. And that's what we saw a lot of from 25 to 27. It was nice to see. But tonight we're going to get, it seems like just from scanning through, we're going to get a little bit back to what we've been reading. So let's get into it. Ephraim's captivity predicted. This is chapter 28. Woe. What'd I tell you? Starts off with woe. Woe, judgment is coming to Samaria, the splendid crown of the drunkards of Ephraim, and to the fading flower of its glorious beauty, which is at the head of the rich valley of those who are overcome with wine. Listen carefully. The Lord has a strong and mighty agent, the Assyrian, like a tempest of hail, a disastrous storm, like a tempest of mighty overflowing waters. He has cast it down to the earth with his hand. The splendid crown of the drunkards of Ephraim is trampled by the foreigner's feet, and the fading flower of its glorious beauty, which is at the head of the rich valley, will be like the early fig before the summer, which one sees as soon as it is in his hand, he greedily swallows it, and so will the Assyrians rapidly devour Samaria, Israel's capital. In that day, the Lord of hosts will become a magnificent crown and a glorious diadem to the converted remnant of his people, a spirit of justice for him who sits in judgment, administering the law, a strength to those who drive back the battle at the gate. But even these reel with wine and stagger from strong drink. The priest and the prophet reel with strong drink. They are confused by wine. They stagger from strong drink. They reel while seeing visions. They stagger when pronouncing judgment. For all the tables are full of filthy vomit, so that there is no place that is clean. They say, to whom would he teach knowledge? And to whom would he explain the message? Those just weaned from milk? Those just taken from the breast? For he says, precept upon precept, precept upon precept, rule upon rule, rule upon rule, here a little, there a little. Indeed, the Lord will teach this people in a more humiliating way, by men with stammering lips and a foreign tongue. He who said to them, this is the place of quiet, give rest to the weary, and this is the resting place, they would not listen. Therefore, the word of the Lord to them will be merely monotonous repetitions, precept upon precept, precept upon precept, rule upon rule, rule upon rule, here a little, there a little, that they may go and stumble backward and be broken, ensnared, and taken captive. All right. So, start off, like I said, woe, right? Woe, judgment is coming. It is to Samaria, the splendid crown of the drunkards of Ephraim. This is something I noticed interesting now. Oftentimes we see Ephraim used interchangeably with Samaria, with Israel. And when he talks about Ephraim, it's a lot like when he talks about Jerusalem to Judah. But we also see this other name, Samaria. And I think that, and I don't know, maybe I'm reading in too much into this. Y'all tell me. Y'all, I don't know if I'm reading too much into this, but is God referring to it as Samaria? Or is Isaiah referring to it as Samaria because God's saying that in a way that he kind of wants to think of it less as Israel because Israel isn't acting like the Israel that it was supposed to be? They've so broken the covenant that they're not even worthy of the name Israel anymore. It almost feels like that. It certainly would be it would seem like that would be appropriate. But I just see that a lot. So when you see Samaria instead of Israel, why call it that? Now, it doesn't say that in the ESV, but I think the Amplified's a little bit more accurately translated, but that's a personal opinion. Anyway, so talks about Samaria, the splendid crown of the drunkards of Ephraim. So we're already seeing negative connotations here, as one does when it comes to Israel during this time. Fading flower of its glorious beauty, head of the rich valley, those are overcome with wine. So people given into hedonism. The Lord has a strong and mighty agent, the Assyrian. And he's going to come down like a whirlwind, like a locust cloud. And of course, he uses a storm and overflowing waters. And they are going to trample the kings and drunks of Ephraim. And he talks about this being the end of kind of putting Israel out of its misery. Because while Israel thinks it's doing great, right? They're having fun, doing whatever they want. What we really see out of them is a shell of their former self. And while they have been, they think that they're great, but it's only because they've been existing in that bubble that God has created for them with his protection. He has shielded them from so many things. Well, now, again, we've talked about this before. Now God's going to remove that. And immediately the hordes come in. I said hordes, not whores, because the whores are already in Israel, as we know. The early fig before the summer, which one sees, and as soon as it is in his hand, he's greeted. So as soon as he sees this early fig fruit, some man wants to grab it and eat it. So will the Assyrians devour Israel. Call it a blitzkrieg, if you will. And in that day, the Lord of hosts will become a magnificent crown and a glorious diadem to the converted remnant of his people. So the people who are left have become the remnant. And they will appreciate the Lord much more than they have been, which is like next to nothing, it seems like. Yes, Samaria is basically the area of Israel geographically. Ahab moved his capital, I think, to Samaria. Yeah, I know why. I know why they use Samaria as the other name, but I'm wondering why. But I'm just kind of wondering why we see when it is written down. We see Israel mentioned a few times, but it seems like more and more we see it written down as Samaria in Isaiah. And I'm wondering if there's a purpose behind it. Is that the correct translation? Are they really saying Samaria, not Israel? Don't know, but it's just something that crossed my mind while I was reading it. God's going to become a reinforcement to everyone who's left behind for judgment, the law, and strength in battle. But hey, even these will reel with wine and stagger from strong drink. These guys are going to fall. The priest and the prophet, the strong warriors, and they stagger when pronouncing judgment. For all the tables are full of filthy vomit, so there's no place that is clean. It's almost like they're all going to be very this seems like what he's describing are compromised people. Folks who are compromised in their faith. That even though they hold God to be important to them, they're still going to be set in some of their ways. Let's see if other people get that. Good times create weak men. Yes. Could be that too. Isaiah 28. Chapter also addresses the sins of the priests and prophets of Jerusalem, who are described as being overcome by wine and losing their judgment and discernment. Like I said, compromised. The section emphasizes the importance of delayed gratification and the value of resisting immediate but fleeting pleasures in favor of enduring benefits. Like that. And that's what I was kind of getting out of that. They talk and they talk and they talk, but do they really know much about what they do? They really believe in what they're talking about? They do kind of, but how important is it to them? Are they preaching against adultery and then getting home, and cheating on their wives before they go home? Do they talk about abstaining from drink and getting drunk at home? Therefore, the word of the Lord to them will be merely monotonous repetitions. There we go. It's going to be relatively meaningless. It's just going to be words. There's not going to be any meaning behind it. And again, that's so much of what I believe that, Jesus comes and everybody's like, oh no, he changes things. He doesn't really. God is consistent. God does not need to change. What it seemed like needed to happen was Jesus needed to explain that they had lost their way and forgotten the spirit behind the law. There is a meaning behind these commandments from God. It's more than just do this. It's more than just look after the widow and orphan. Why are you looking after the widow and the orphan? Because you're supposed to care about them, because God cares about them. Why are you supposed to be faithful in your marriage? Not just that you're supposed to be. Why do you not? Why do you testify truthfully about your neighbor? It's not just, You're supposed to do this. It's not just that it's written down. It's not just words on paper. It's a belief in it, and a belief that it is righteous, and a belief that it creates. It helps grow and nurture loving feelings between you and your fellow man. That you guys that we can coexist in a society where we care about each other, and care about God. The rules are just there as the rules end up just being there as reminders so that we don't lose focus, or to help guide us along in some ways. But if it's the word of God is spoken in these commandments, there's more, they are more than just words. So that says, the word of the Lord to them will be merely monotonous repetitions, ellipsis, that they may go and stumble backwards and be broken and snared and taken captive. All right. Judah is warned. Therefore, hear the word of the Lord, you arrogant men who rule these people who are in Jerusalem, because you have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with Sheol, the place of the dead. We have made an agreement. When the overwhelming scourge passes by, it will not reach us. For we have made lies our refuge, and we have concealed ourselves in deception. Therefore, God, the Lord God says this: listen carefully. I am laying in Zion a stone, a tested stone, a precious cornerstone, for the secure foundation, firmly placed. He who believes, who trusts in, relies on, and adheres to that stone will not be disturbed or give way in sudden panic. I will make justice the measuring line and righteousness the mason's level. Then hail will sweep away the refuge of lies, and waters will flood over the secret hiding place. Your covenant with death will be annulled, and your agreement with Sheol, the place of the dead, will not stand. When the overwhelming scourge passes through, then you will become its trampling ground. As often as it passes through, it will seize you. For morning after morning, it will pass through day by day and by night, and it will be sheer terror to understand what it means. For the bed is too short to stretch out on, and the blanket is too narrow to wrap around oneself, and likewise all their preparations are inadequate. For the Lord will rise up as at Mount Perazim. He will be stirred up as in the valley of Gibeon, to do his work, his unusual and incredible work, and to accomplish his work, his extraordinary work. Now do not carry on as scoffers, or the bands which bind you will be made stronger. For I have heard from the Lord God of hosts a decree of decisive destruction on all the earth. Listen and hear my voice. Listen carefully and hear my words. Does the farmer plow all day to plant seed? Does he continually dig furrows and harrow his ground after it is prepared? When he has leveled its surface, does he not sow the seed of dill and scattered cumin, and the plant wheats and rows, and barley in its intended place, and rye within its border? For before his God instructs him correctly and teaches him properly. For dill is not threshed with the sharp threshing sledge, nor is a cartwheel rolled over cumin, but dill is beaten out with a staff, and cumin with a rod. Grain is crushed fine. Indeed, the farmer does not continue to thresh it forever, because the wheel of his cart and his horses eventually damage it. He does not thresh it longer. This also comes from the Lord of hosts, who has made his counsel wonderful and his wisdom great. So, look, Israel's or Um, Israel or Samaria is not the only ones messing up. Hey, I'm not just talking to those tribes. I'm also talking to you two there in Judah and Benjamin, because you people haven't been acting right either. And you've made your pacts with Satan and hell. That's why I translate covenant with death and the place of Sheol, place of the dead. The Satan and hell. And you think that that's going to protect you. And you think that's going to hide you. It's not. You can't hide from God. And this almost seems like, and maybe it's not, but this almost seems messianic here with laying in Zion a stone, a tested stone. Let's see. I don't know. It almost seems like he's talking about Christ here. I'm laying in Zion a stone, a tested stone, a precious cornerstone. He who believes in the stone will not be disturbed or give way in sudden panic if you have faith in them. Justice, righteousness. It's going to be immune from much of this stuff. And then it says, for all of you guys who've made your pacts with hell, they're not going to be worth anything. It says annulled. They're going to be negated. They won't protect you. And when the overwhelming scourge passes through, you will become its trampling ground. It's going to run right over you. You think you're going to be safe. No, you're going to be in the most danger. And it will be sheer terror to understand what it means. It will seize you. If the bed is too short to stretch out on the blanket, too narrow to wrap around oneself, says you're just not going to be ready, it seems like. But the Lord's going to rise up. He's going to be stirred up and do his work. Right? So you think you bet on the wrong horse, guys. And it really was a stupid bet. That probably makes God angrier. Are y'all really that dumb? That you didn't think, or you thought that you could fool me? And then we go into the parable, talking about the planter. Does a farmer plow all day to plant seed? How does he handle things? To me, it goes back to there's a time for everything. And there's more to what God does than just growing, than planting. There are different ways he handles things, different situations in different ways. And he doesn't keep doing the same thing over and over again. He has there we go. He has different methods. And he treats different things differently. Like how it's just the top of my head down here because I'm sitting back, relaxing. And he uses it. He doesn't treat dill the same as cumin. Bread grain is treated differently. Right? Dill is beaten out with a staff, cumin with a rod. Bread is crushed. Does not thresh it forever, because of the wheel of his cart and his horses eventually damage it. There you have it. That took us a while to get through. Spent so much time talking about pizza. All this pizza. All right, Jerusalem is warned. All right, still warning Jerusalem. Whoa, judgment is coming to Ariel. To Ariel, the city Lion of God, referring to Jerusalem. Okay. Judgment is coming to Ariel. To Ariel, the city where David once camped. Add yet another year. Let the feasts run their course, but only 1 year more. Then I will harass Ariel, and she will be a city of mourning and lamenting, crying out in grief. Yet she will be like an Ariel, an altar hearth to me. I will camp against you and encircle you, and I will hem you in with siege works, and I will raise fortifications against you. Then you, Jerusalem, will be brought low. You will speak from the earth and from the dust where you lie face down. Your muffled words will come. Your voice will also be like that of a spirit from the earth, one produced by a medium. And your speech will whisper and squeak from the dust. But the multitude of your enemies that assault you will become like fine dust, and the multitude of the tyrants like the chaff which blows away. And it will happen in an instant, suddenly, that your enemy is destroyed. You will be punished by the Lord of hosts with thunder and earthquake and great noise, with whirlwind and tempest and the flame of a consuming fire. And the multitude of all the nations that fight against Ariel, Jerusalem, even all who fight against her in her stronghold and who distress her, will be like a dream, a vision of the night. It will be as when a hungry man dreams that he is eating, but when he awakens, his hunger is not satisfied. Or as when a thirsty man dreams that he is drinking, but when he awakens, in fact, he is faint, and his thirst is not quenched. So will the multitude of all the nations be who fight against, so will all the multitudes of the nations be who fight against Mount Zion. Stop and take some time and wonder at this prophecy. Blind yourselves and be blinded at its fulfillment by your spiritual incompetence. They are drunk, but not from wine. They stagger, but not from strong drink. For the Lord has poured over you a spirit of deep sleep. He has closed your eyes, you who are prophets, and he has covered your heads, you who are seers. The entire vision of all these things will be to you like the words of a scroll that is sealed, which they give to one who can read, saying, read this, please. He shall say, I cannot, for it is sealed. Then the book will be given to the one who cannot read, saying, read this, please. And he will say, I cannot read. Then the Lord said, because this nation approaches me only with their words, and honors me only with their lip service, but they remove their hearts far from me, and their reverence for me is a tradition that is learned by learned by rote, without any regard for its meaning. Therefore, listen carefully. I will again do marvelous and amazing things with this people, wonderful and astonishing things, and the wisdom of their wise men will perish, and the understanding of their discerning men will be hidden. Woe! Judgment is coming to those who try to deeply hide their plans from the Lord, whose deeds are done in a dark place, and who say, who sees us? Or who knows us? Your things turn upside down with your perversity. Shall the potter be considered equal with the clay? That the thing that is made would say to its maker, he did not make me. Or the thing that is formed say to him who formed it, he has no understanding. All right. So, warning to Jerusalem, right? We're kind of continuing on that from the last chapter, the second part of the last chapter. We see it referred to as Ariel, but I will harass Ariel. All right, so he's not murdering the city. All right, he's not coming in and completely razing it. What he is putting it under siege and humbling its people. Encircle you, hem you in with siege works, fortifications. You will be brought low, speak from the earth and from the dust. It's talking about you guys are going to be humiliated. You're not going to be conquered, but you're going to be begging for it to stop. And you're going to realize you're going to have to put away that pride. Maybe you're not as bad as Israel, but you're not bad. You're not far behind. But perhaps because Israel, because maybe because of Jerusalem, maybe because there are more a bigger concentration of righteous people in it. You guys are only going to be punished to a degree. You're going to be able to keep your city. You're going to be able to keep your nation. Ephraim, Samaria, it's gone. It's toast. And then when the siege is gone, you're going to be dealing with thunder, earthquake, and great noise. You're going to have some natural disasters hit you. A flame of consuming fire. Talks about the multitude of nations that fight against Ariel. I don't understand exactly what's going on in that spot. But it tells you to just take heed of this. This prophecy is important. You need to listen to it. Because this is what I'm going to be doing in this is teaching what God is going to be doing in this is teaching a lesson. You can learn by the example that I made out of Israel. You can learn from the punishment that I'm doling out to you guys. It's up to you to do it. But I've certainly done what I've needed to do to get your attention. And the entire vision of all these things will be to you like the words of a scroll that is sealed, which they gave to one who can read, but can't because it's sealed, and then given to the one who cannot read, saying, read this, and he said he can't read. And here's the part that I was kind of reinforcing what I was saying earlier. Because this nation approaches me only with their words and honors me only with their lip service, but they remove their hearts from me and their reverence for me as a tradition. You're only doing it because it was written down, because it's just words on paper that you're just following the instructions blindly. You're just doing this because your parents taught you you were supposed to do, or a priest told you were supposed to do it. You're just going through the motions. You don't necessarily believe it. You're just chanting the words. You don't stop to wonder why it's great. You just read it. And so those words have little meaning to you, period. But then somebody said, I'm going to again do marvelous and amazing things with this people, wonderful and astonishing things. Sounds a lot like the Messiah. The wisdom of their wise men will perish. Hello, Sadducees. And the understanding of their discerning men will be hidden. Hello, Pharisees. Judgment is coming to those who try to deeply hide their plans for the Lord, whose deeds are done in a dark place, and who say, who sees us? Who knows us? People who are, this to me sounds like people infiltrating the church, people infiltrating the priesthood with the intent behind it to corrupt what God has laid out, to intentionally lead people away from God. They think they're not going to get caught, but you will. You turn things upside down with your perversity. And you think you can do things. I made you. I made this universe. I understand it. I see everywhere. I'm seeing everything. What makes you think that I'm just going to ignore you? That's a very strong worded warning. All right, last part for tonight. Blessing after discipline. Is it not yet a very little while until Lebanon will be turned into a fertile field, and the fertile field regarded as a forest? On that day, the deaf will hear the words of a book, and out of their gloom and darkness, the eyes of the blind will see the words of the book. The afflicted will also increase their joy in the Lord, and the needy of mankind will rejoice and celebrate in the Holy One of Israel. For the tyrant will come to an end, and the scorner will be finished. Hang on. Neck's a little stiff. For the tyrant will come to an end, and the scorner will be finished. Indeed, all who are intent on doing evil will be cut off. Those who cause a person to be condemned with a false word, and lay a trap to him who upholds justice at the city gate, and defraud the one in the right with meaningless arguments, Those guys are, well, I'll come back. I didn't read that very clearly. I'll get it on the back end. Therefore, the Lord who redeemed Abraham from paganism says this concerning the house of Jacob and Israel: Jacob will not be ashamed, nor will his face turn pale with disappointment because of his children's degenerate behavior. For when he sees his children, the work of my hands in his midst, they will sanctify my name. They will sanctify the Holy One of Jacob, and they will stand in awe and reverent fear of the God of Israel. Those who err in mind will know the truth, and those who criticize and murmur discontentedly will accept instruction. As again, does anybody else get messianic vibes out of this? Deaf will hear the words of a book, so the deaf hearing, the blind seeing, the afflicted, the needy, celebrating and rejoicing, tyrant coming to an end, and all who are intent on doing evil be cut off. And then describing fraudsters and liars. Therefore, the Lord who redeemed Abraham. And Jacob will not be ashamed, nor will his face turn pale with disappointment because of his children's degenerate behavior. Here he goes. For when he sees his children, the work of my hands in his midst, they will sanctify my name. They will sanctify the Holy One of Jacob, and they will stand in awe and reverent fear of the God of Israel. Those who err in mind will know the truth, and those who criticize and murmur discontentedly will accept instruction. Hopefulness. To me, that there's this almost sounds like some hopefulness for the skeptic, which might bring hope to Veritax in his situation. Not with him, but with family, with a family member. Blessing after discipline. That was the title of this section. There are blessings coming. It's not all bad. If God was going to give up on people, he wouldn't have gone through all this effort and just in punishment. He just would have ended it. Like he said he wanted to at Sinai, right? It's going to wipe them out. Just do another flood. Wipe them out and start over. That's not what he wants to do. That's not his intent. That's not his plan. But that doesn't mean an example doesn't that doesn't mean an example doesn't need to be made. That doesn't mean that he's going to avoid punishment. There are consequences for actions. And man, there have been actions and actions and actions building up consequence over consequence. And God's been patient. God's dealt with it relatively easily. But not now. Now it's time. There's a time for everything, and God's getting his switch out from the woods. He's gonna lay down some corporal punishment. All right. Well, that's going to be it for our reading tonight. This is way more in line with what we kind of think of when we're thinking of Israel. We're thinking of punishment. We're thinking of warning. We're thinking of destruction. We see glimpses of Messiah. We see a lot of, in my opinion, we see a lot of the Messiah here in the last two chapters of what's coming. We see We see punishment, blessings, hope. We see a lot of things. But it getting dark before it can get right, can become light again. So, Serranos, Nernath, Thad, Matt Felty, Geminier. Emmanuel Osorio. Thank you guys for your pizza takes. Thank you guys for lurking. It's been a great week. Been some great reading. And as always, you're a great audience. As always, you're an awesome chat. I appreciate you greatly. Again, we hit 400 episodes this week. Nernath apparently didn't want to show up for it. I was very sad about that one in particular. But that's okay. That's okay. Emmanuel was there. Seriously. Thank you guys for being part of the chat, for being that most interactive of groups, for you guys for helping make this broadcast, make this stream better than if it was just me talking. To everybody who is watching and not participating in the chat, I just want you to know it's an open invitation. I would encourage you to put your 2 cents worth. I want to know what's in your head. I want to know what you agree with. Maybe you agree with what I'm saying. Maybe you disagree, but I want to hear why. And maybe you have good reason. Maybe you've got a lot of evidence to the contrary. Maybe you just like, look, let me put stuff in perspective for you. I know at least some of you guys are smarter than me. Maybe all. But it's fine if you're just getting out of this what you need by listening. And I'm just glad you're there. To everybody who's catching this on replay, thank you for watching. Sorry I missed you. I hope to catch you live sometime soon. Everybody, I want you to have a good, safe, productive, fun, relaxing weekend. All right. Go to church. Praise the Lord. Hang around fellow Christians. Get that fellowship going. Worship. Worship the Lord. Give thanks. Repent. Do these things. And we'll see you come Monday or Tuesday. Everybody have a good night, and God bless.